the thing that you fear is, oh, they're actually not
And now
struggling for
you
money. It's just
learn the
like this guy got like
true
a 20, this
lesson of
CEO
the
got a $20
void.
million pay raise and someone had to go for that. Let's just fire all of these nice people and that would make me despise them, right? So I just wish I do. Public, this is the Podyssey official announcement. Publish those financials, baby.
Yeah.
They'll
If
definitely do
anybody
that.
wants to leak them to us as well, if anybody has any top secret corporate secrets that they want to leak to us, send them our way. Okay, I think we've yapped for a sufficient amount of time. Now, here's another thing. Much as I was praising Frank earlier, he didn't leave us a Patreon question for this episode. So there's no Patreon question this week. That's
Ooh, let's make one up.
make one up. All right.
Watch your
Yeah.
step.
Be a Patreon.
Oh, sorry, all right, I have one.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
okay.
So this has kind of been discussed a lot. Hold on. let me
Well,
think
who's the
about
Patreon question from?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're gonna be a Patreon question,
Yeah,
you should
hold on,
ask
hold on.
us how to deal with problem raiders or like, what were the couple greatest
Raid
hits we
buffs?
keep getting?
Yeah, what's your thoughts
buff?
on raid?
Holy
Well,
fuck.
I have a cook. I have a cook for raid buffs. What if they made all of them different than how they are now, but also you only needed one of each, but they could be from different classes, and
Watch your
there was
feet.
also only they all gave a 1% buff, and it was based on the number of unique classes in your raid, and yeah, thank you, love the potty C. That was my Patreon question for raid buffs. That was
Isn't that just the Final Fantasy system?
No, I was just throwing like all the buzzwords that people put in the question, all the
yeah.
different, because everybody thinks they have a cook for raid buffs, and it's always the same one, and it's always Blizzard's never going to do this because they don't want
because
to.
warriors need to have battle cry.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, we don't want to talk about raid buffs.
Okay,
is the
Dorky,
point.
what's your
Dorky,
real
yours?
Patreon question?
Oh man. I don't know how to word
Watch
it.
your step.
Oh, we can talk about Plunderstorm.
Okay. Yeah.
What did you guys think of the announcement to bring it back? Because I have some thoughts about a lot of the criticisms that people have had of it as well.
Ooh, okay.
I am excited. I think Plunderstorm is cool. It's interesting because I think a pretty common criticism of it is why is it the same map? But I feel like changing the map is like a lot of that's probably like 60% of the work of doing the Plunderstorm. Maybe not. Maybe it's like 30% of the work that went into Plunderstorm.
I
was
think
the
I
Iraqi
think your
Highlands.
first number was right.
Well, because like they had to come up with all the abilities and the mobs and those mechanics and stuff, which I assume is a lot. But yeah, I mean, making the map converted for it and stuff is
But making the map for making the map, keeping most of that, but then making a new map, the map becomes
yeah, it would be a huge amount of work versus
like
not.
it becomes like 80% of the work.
Yes, if they were to do it, like if they were to do a new map, that would be almost all of the new work of it. Whereas this is just re-enabling it and making sure it's not too buggy or whatever. Making sure that whatever random bug they put into the base game hasn't somehow broken Plunderstorm, even though they're different branches or whatever.
That would be funny.
That just happens in WoW. You change one thing and then some random other thing breaks. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I thought Plunderstorm was sick. I have definitely had days where I've wanted to play Plunderstorm and been sad that it's not been there. I haven't had that many of those days, so I do think that if they had it year-round, it would probably be like kind of dead queues. So I do think it probably is good for it to come somewhat recently, or
it is
be up
absolutely good.
infrequently.
It is good that it's infrequent, and it is good that it hasn't been out this whole time, and it is good that it'll be limited time again when they said they're going to release it. Yeah,
it's also good that there are new rewards behind it so that we can get more gas runners to absolutely farm.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to listen to any of our suggestions from last time. Maybe they've had them internally, but it's like I feel like the best one that I've heard is like there's just a daily hub in game, and like that can also contribute to your renown, because like the Plunderstorm lovers don't even have to engage with that because you're going to get it all for free from game, and but for all the people who hate it, you don't have to do it, and you can just do all the dailies in game. But you're right, that would be significantly less people to farm. But
I mean that would kill it.
That would not kill it at all.
Well, it would make it, a lot less people.
It's like really good. I would have issues.
I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, that was my main takeaway, Dranos, as well. As I saw the announcement, and it was all just, I can't believe there's not a new map. And I think I understand where that's coming from, but as like some background on me, the two things I've done the most is like play WoW #1, and then it's like play Battle Royales, which is #2. Battle Royale's map changing is the most like overrated thing of all time. Like, of all the time I spent on PUBG, I could have spent that all on the main map and it would have been better. When I started playing Apex, I would just take me back to King's Canyon and not all this new shit. Like the new maps are good, but it's like so unimportant. It is just about having a good map and optimizing that map. Like, that map needed a lot of work on, like, the drop locations. Like, you always wanted to drop left, and all the stuff on the right sucked. And, like, that, they can revamp that. There's so much they can revamp in the mode. They can make the little, like, gold guy that, like, he just died over time. That entire thing could be
Oh, yeah,
the
opulence thing was so weird.
Yeah, like, that could be made way more interesting. There are so many more cooks you could do in a mode like that, and I think all the focus should be on that and not the map, especially because when they brought this initially, this was not, oh, this thing's going to be a huge hit and we're going to bring it back in the future. It was really good, so they did bring it back in the future, but we just talked earlier about how these designers, they're not hiring many more of them, are working on things super far ahead of time because they're trying to do way too much shit, right? So Plunderstorm was like, they realized 8 months ago, they're like, oh, we have to recreate Plunderstorm again. What's a way we can actually do that? Oh, making a new map is going to cost this much time. Okay, that can't happen. Let's just do whatever we can with the time we have and like revamp and stuff. I think it's probably just that simple. Like if we're getting a new map in Plunderstorm, we're also getting it in like the end of next year or something, right? And I don't, from a seasoned battle royale player, I can tell you that that is not worth it. Like in WoW, there's a lot of cool zones to explore for people, but as far as the gameplay of it, and I know I'm more gameplay oriented than other people, but like as far as the gameplay, like the new maps are way overrated in anything VR related. So I'm actually glad they're not changing the map, but I hope they do in the future. Like imagine doing it in like Ardenweald or like
Maldraxxus could go kind of crazy. That zone's kind of perfect for a VR, I think.
Yeah, like
Hellfire Peninsula. Yeah, as long as there's not too many trees, I think that was the thing that. WoW is not good with trees, so that was one thing they mentioned. Is
actually that's one thing I'm not really considering. Like, in BRs, when PUBG releases, you only know the original map.
Yeah.
But like in WoW, they release a battle royale in WoW.
You actually know the map. You have familiarity with the zones.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's so many other maps you know it could be that are really fucking cool and mean something to you. That like you're like, oh, this thing's like right there. You can just do it. My suspicion is it's probably even more work than we thought, because like you have to make mobs and they have to have abilities that are like kind of thematic to the zone they're in, which could be different depending on what zone you're doing. Like apparently they had to like deforest a ton of the zone. There was just like a lot of the zones in the game, there's just too many trees, and like that wouldn't work. And like clipping through the world, these abilities that never been. You have to make sure Firestorm works on your map, and it's not instantly gonna like clip you under the world doing some fast tornado shit. Like,
defensive.
I imagine it's just a ton of work. Well, actually, what would your all's top 3 like Plunderstorm zones be? Or like, what's your favorite if they could do one?
I do think Maldraxxus. I've always thought Maldraxxus would go hard because it's like it's supposed to be like a combat zone, place, and it's I don't know. It does. I think it has the worst aesthetic of the Shadowlands zones for like WoW gameplay, but
yeah, my thing is the aesthetics up.
Yeah, the problem is the colors are bland in there. It's like it literally colored like vanilla. So maybe not. I don't know,
an example of a bad one would be like the other zone, Revendreth. Like it's just too vertical.
Oh yeah, that's way too vertical. Yeah, you can't do that.
Verticality is cool, though. It's just it's hard to do.
You would need to
have
the mechanics to have
you could have little
matter.
items. You could have little items that like a Fortnite jump pad.
Dude, that speaking of which, like that's the thing. Fortnite was going to be my example because you were talking about PUBG having a bunch of different maps. What Fortnite does is they just do the same map, and then every season it's like, oh my god, Loot Lake is been boiled up, and now there's like, oh, they destroyed Tomato Town, right? And it's like this is something in the map has changed. Like that could be a cool thing. It's just like, oh my god, you're telling me the Zandalari have destroyed Stromgarde and it's on fire now this season of Plunderstorm? Like that could be a cool thing they could do.
Actually, I think they might do that. That sounds like kind of a slam dunk. I wonder if they spend some time looking at like more recent VR successes and they would do that. I mean, also Apex did the same thing.
Yeah.
They like brought Kings Canyon back with was it Skull Town or whatever it was called, and they like burned up that place, which sucks by the way because it was like by far the best place to land. And
I think that's why they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so stupid though. Like this is the best place to land and fight.
Defensive.
Yeah, but like why?
Well, they don't want there to be a best place to land.
I think maybe a separate discussion, but I just feel like removing the really, really cool place that people like isn't as good as like making the other places more attractive to land. Like you aspire for everywhere to land to be great. maybe you do make everything else great, but still everyone landed skull tap and it sucks. So you just need to remove it.
It's interesting because in Apex, it's like fighting early is kind of fun. Like a fight in the first 2 minutes of Apex is kind of sick. In Plunder, that's not true. In Plunder, if you land and somebody is fighting you, you are so mad. And
yeah, you're like
they
you're
gotta fix
wasting
that
both
too.
of our times.
Yeah. They got to
Yeah, there's a lot
that.
of like base things to fix, I think, in the game.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm gonna go so hard in that game.
Yeah, love Plunder,
I
dude.
hope there's never a Flutterstorm tournament. And Adrenal's stunned by that.
There's, ow.
What the fuck?
This,
I'm just kidding.
Dude, that did suck. That did suck.
yeah,
Dranos was
that
like,
did
I feel
suck.
bad for Dranos.
It's like Isaiah
Yeah.
Thomas in that Michael Jordan documentary. The like I met all the criteria, but I wasn't selected. Like that meme.
I mean, it's all good. These things
CD
happen.
as well.
A lot of I would have invited C2 over me and stuff, like the PvPers that were playing a bunch. But I think they didn't know when they were making the invite lists, like which content creators were going to do Plunder and which weren't. So that I don't know. Either way, I think that I'm mostly sad that for the next like 2 months there's not a lot of stuff. I guess there's so for those who don't know, I also play a bunch of ARPGs. Path of Exile 1 isn't going to have another league this year, and Path of Exile 2 got its early access delayed to like December instead of November. So I just got no ARPGs for the next month. Last Epoch isn't putting one out because they didn't want to compete with PoE 2, I think, and now it's PoE 2 is delayed and Last Epoch is delayed, and D4 obviously is like I think I'm winding down for the season on D4. I finished the battle pass and everything and killed all the bosses and stuff, and my build feels kind of done, so I'm just going to be without an ARPG for 2 months of farm, which is always a bad place to be. So I'm sad.
Yeah, that is.
Push keys.
I don't know, man.
MDI's tomorrow, isn't that your job?
MDI's tomorrow. That's true. That's exciting. Yeah, we haven't talked
I
about
bet you guys
MDI
would
a
love-
lot.
Yeah, I bet our chat would love to hear us talk about that.
Yeah, I actually am pretty excited to see MDI. It is a little weird because a lot of good teams are missing this one. Like obviously Echo breaking apart or not playing is the headline there, but just the total number of like veteran returning teams is very low this time. So that's interesting. I think it's just because of timing, because it's like right after Prague or during Prague for a lot of good players. But yeah, I'm of course hyped for MDI. I know that we don't want to turn this podcast into the every week we talk about MDI or TGP thing.
Oh, I won't let that happen. I'm completely uninterested in anything MDI related. I don't know what changed, but like I just like last expansion, 2 expansions ago, I was like super into it. Last expansion, I was into it, and it was dwindling in every season. And by the end of it, I didn't even show up to watch
What about
it.
TGP? Like, are you excited for TGP when that comes out in a couple?
I don't know enough
people.
people. I don't know enough about any of the teams to like get invested. I feel like as a viewer, I don't know. I'm just kind of over it. But I know Dorky, you're probably gonna be into it. You're watch partying it, right? You've got to be.
I mean, I'm curious to see what happens, but I don't expect much. It's like you guys have been saying,
Like who's in this tournament tomorrow? What teams?
All I know is Perplexed. That's literally all I know tomorrow.
Yeah, like
Miscounts
that's
as well. Yeah.
All Miscounts playing tomorrow.
How many teams qualify?
3 qualify out of the group.
And there's only 2
16
teams.
total teams, right?
So yeah,
And
there's
there's
16 teams made into 2 groups, each of which has 3 qualifying to finals, and then there's 2 from China as well to make an 8-team finals.
Well, I like China being involved. That's good.
Yeah.
But the that's actually interesting. But the like that's kind of where you lose me as a viewer tomorrow, right? Is okay. So there's 3 spots to qualify, and there's only 2 teams that I would have known before and care about as a viewer that likes to watch people compete at a high level.
Yeah.
And that you've known that have been around for a while. I'm not saying any of the other teams aren't good enough to care about. It's like, as a viewer, you need to care about the people on the teams and the teams to care about what you're watching. And like, okay, so the 2 teams that I know and have been there are probably going to qualify and face maybe some not great competition. Maybe they will. Don't want to disparage any of the competitors, but like, what am I missing if I don't tune in tomorrow, right? That's kind of maybe what it is. Like, I think a lot of people who are complaining about, oh man, every MDI is boring because Echo just fucking wins every time. It's so boring, which is also just like not even true. Like they've been like in fierce competition with mandatory for like 2 years. But like even when you say that, you don't even ask for what you're saying. Like you don't want to lose Echo, man. You don't want to lose one of the teams that people actually know who the fucking players are and like can care about them and follow them, right? So like that's in my opinion, Echo not playing is a fucking colossal loss for the MDI. Like, I think the viewership overall is going to be a bit lower, but I would also like to be wrong about that. Hopefully people still care, but...
The bigger problem is there's no new teams or new talent, new blood, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's none of that in MDI, and it's even worse than ever before.
I think MDI is cool, and I'm excited to see what happens this time around. Should be very poggers to watch. Everybody make sure to tune in. Twitch.tv/Warcraft, YouTube.com/Warcraft. It's gonna be fun.
This guy's paid, by the way.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I am excited to see like at least what people end up doing. Like I'm curious to see what comps are played. I'm curious to see what types of strategies people.
It is actually sick that it's like 3 days after a major tuning update, 10 days after a patch that just threw tunings across the wall.
Speaking of which, that's actually another topic too. People have been complaining about how frequent the tuning has been and how much the classes have been getting reworked. I think people are getting sick and tired of the 0.5 reworks. This might have been like a Patreon question in the past, but
wait, the competitors in the MDI, you're saying?
Yes, I think that's
not just the competitors in the MDI, but also the bottom rerollers. You know how like there's a ton of bottom rerollers out there.
Yeah, if you're like pushing keys or whatever.
No, I mean, I actually found out that this group of people exists, that they're like super prevalent. And it's like every patch you see a bunch of people complain that like the balance isn't super good because they played one class and they want their one class to get invited to keys. And then what a lot of those people don't understand is there's a massive amount of people that don't care what class they play. In fact, they actually like when different classes are meta every season because it gives them variety. It means they can learn a new spec and try something new. And they actually look forward to that. And those are the people that Dorky is talking about that are getting annoyed. They're like, oh, I just rolled. Like, imagine if you actually care about playing the best class and get invited, and then that thing gets nerfed, and then you're like leveling that new alt or whatever, and then you're just like, oh, so I have to farm 700 Gilded Crest to get back to where my other major. Okay, so like that's not happening. So like I can see that being annoying.
Yeah.
A lot of bottom rerollers are not happy with how frequent the tuning is, which is kind of crazy because this is something we've been asking for forever.
If you teleport back like 3 years ago, everybody's biggest point was just like, please tune the game more frequently. Please don't leave us in this meta for 6 months.
I still feel like people are majorly
range 5.
Still what Dreadnought just said.
Yeah, I for the record, I think most people are happy to see frequent tuning.
I think it's an extreme minority of people that would be saying like, please stop tuning the game. That's a crazy thought.
The bigger complaint, I think, is how much of a playstyle for certain classes are changing, or when their stat priority changes. Like I've seen a lot of complaints about that. It's like, oh, I'm playing a mage and like I geared for haste and versatility, and all of a sudden like I'm having to play mastery and some crit now. It's like that part kind of throws a lot of people off, and they don't like having all their progression go down the drain, or like feel like they've wasted certain vaults or like certain crests, upgrading certain stuff.
That is fair.
So, I can see that, or they just like don't like how their class is changing nonstop and there's no consistent way to play the class. I've heard this from mages, and I've heard this from what the other spec was.
Ellie Shaman changed mastery to be good with the rework, which was like never true before. So I think that's cool, though. I think the mastery stat is fun, and one of the nerfs they reverted would have nerfed mastery, and now they reverted that nerf to Ellie, so mastery is still good, which is cool. I think it's a cool mastery. Yeah. All right, well, I think we've rambled about sufficient topics for this week. I think that's about it for the old Potty C. We will be back next week with another Potty C. But until then, goodbye. Oh, wait. Stick around, patrons, though, for the bonus episode. Ooh, bonus Patreon content where we are going to start a fight with The Bench, our competitor podcast.
That is true.
Our rival podcast. Yes, we will be beefing with them in the bonus episode. So stay tuned for that, patrons. And the rest of you non-patrons, enjoy your...
Blow up.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your scraps and free content here on this channel. Know that the real juicy drama is for paying customers only. You shouldn't have wasted your money on that Brutosaur.
Edit that part.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, Potty, bye.
Bye.
Range 5. Inevitably. Well, good evening. Lotties, Lazos, and Lazos, welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Now, I may not be a psychomalologist, as you may be surprised to know. I just read memes for a living, but I do have this very scientific concept I would like to propose to my fellow peer reviewers, also other meme people. It's that trauma is actually nostalgia, but just negative. So to try out this scientific hypothesis, I figured we would look through some r/traumatized them back, turn that negative nostalgia around and weaponize it against your enemies. Enjoy. But being gay is a sin? Well, so is adultery. So I am a 37-year-old gay man with a 79-year-old conservative Christian ex-missionary mother who has had a lot of problems coming to terms with this fact. Fortunately, she loves me enough that she didn't disown me or anything. In fact, she actually came to my wedding. The only issue is that she still made it her mission to tell me it was a sin and bring up those Bible verses as much as she could. So one night after she poked at me one too many times with said verses, I finally had enough. I hated to do it, but when she brought up the subject, I responded by pointing out that her mom was an adulteress for 50 plus years. Actually, that's kind of smart, you know? It's just removing the cherry pickiness and being like, but if this applies to me, then this also applies to you. Oh, yes, indeed. It's beautiful how the turntables. You see, her mother divorced her husband due to the fact that he was a drunk. He would spend all his money on booze and tipping the waitresses at the local bar, instead of buying his family food. It was bad enough that the waitresses would actually reach out to my grandmother and gave her the tips he gave them because they knew it was a problem. Oh my god, massive respect to the waitresses for actually doing that. That is absolutely amazing, but Jesus Christ, you know it's bad when the waitresses you are like kind of hitting on and tipping goes behind your back and just gives the money back to your wife. You know you crossed like multiple lines at that point, in multiple dimensions of life. Oh, dear God, man. You see, the Bible clearly states that the only reason for divorce is due to infidelity. Since my grandmother's first husband was never unfaithful, she was never divorced in the eyes of God. Because of this, it means that her second marriage to my grandfather was actually adultery in the eyes of God, making my grandmother an adulteress. Oh. My mother got super defensive and told me, hey, he cheated on her with alcohol, so she was fine to divorce him. I was like, yeah, Mom, nice try. She is still a W word. Okay, I didn't say W word, but I really wanted to. Anyways, my mom didn't talk to me for like 2 days, but when she finally broke the silence, she basically just told me she would never bring up those verses again. Honestly, this is sort of the best case scenario happy ending to these sort of stories. You turn this thing around that they have been using against you for so long, and then they have this like moment of self-reflection that, oh my god, it turned around on me all of a sudden. It wasn't that fun anymore. Oh my god, is this what I have been doing to this other person this whole time? So that sort of stuff can make some people turn around and change how they act when they realize what it's like to actually have them directed towards themselves. It's been nearly a year now, and my life is so much less stressful. I don't end up crying after the majority of my conversations with her anymore. I hate that I had to use my grandmother's memory like that to get my mom to stop, but I will not hesitate to remind her of this if she ever slips back into old habits in the future. Yeah, people like that are always so conveniently hypocritical, aren't they? Now this stuff applies because it's about you, but this stuff that would apply to my story and who I am, that doesn't apply at all because a bunch of excuses that aren't actually applicable, so... It's just kind of funny how that works, isn't it? My dad went on a huge transphobic rant. I told him I am trans because he had me circumcised. Basically, my dad never accepted me for being a transgender woman. That is not my problem though. I have a happy relationship and a great career. I haven't lived with him in over a decade. Still, he tried to guilt trip me into reconsidering. Anyways, instead of getting mad, I was just like, you're right, but since you had me circumcised, I always hated having naughties as a guy. It never felt good. I decided that I would just become a woman now. With surgery, I actually have a hood, and naughties is way better. Anyways, now he is like fully convinced that this is all his fault. And apparently has been going on tirades about the evils of circumcision. Oh my god, what an absolute universe. Did he really change the thing? He is like parading around about his life mission is no longer going on being transphobic. It's like anti-circumcision. He just did like a 180 about his call in life. Oh my god. It is pissing off a lot of his religious friends, but he just calls them groomers who wants to perform surgeries on infants. They don't even know how to respond to it. Oh my god. I need to see this play out in person. This sounds absolutely hilarious to just observe on like an arm's length distance, like the infighting and the opinions flying back and forth, and oh my god, and all of a sudden having the same arguments they always toss around everywhere else, just used against themselves, all the infighting that comes with it. Oh, that is so funny. That is so funny. My dad tried to make me sit in bloody underwear, so I made an announcement. I, 16, am transgender, and before I was on testosterone and birth control, I had heavy, painful, and irregular periods. I would go through a lot of underwear because not even the thick tampons or pads were working as long as they should. Unfortunately, this problem bit me in the butt 5 years ago during Christmas. My dad, sister, and I flew to Texas to be with family. 2 days into the trip, right on Christmas, I start my period. Yay, good timing. It's one of those things, kind of like Murphy's Law for periods. Always come when it's like a trip or like a family vacation or something like that. It's always when it's the worst timing. 2 days into the trip, right on Christmas, I start my period. Unfortunately, the tampons I packed got soaked in hand sanitizer because I didn't properly close my hand sanitizer on the flight. I asked my dad if we can stop by the store to buy any, only to be told, "You can wait. Let's try to make it through the party and then I'll get you tampons." It takes like 3 minutes, fam. Oh my, it takes 3 minutes. Jesus Christ. Yeah. He really said that. My 11-year-old anxious self didn't protest and I just decided to triple my underwear. Everyone got ready and we drove off to the Christmas party. When we arrived, I felt blood pooling in my underwear. I try to ignore it as we get inside. I just sit on the couch and try to avoid standing at all costs. 3 hours in, the blood has stained through my blue jeans. I panic, text my dad that we need to leave now, only for him to look at the text across the room and put his phone back down. 30 minutes passed, everyone arrived at the party, and I cannot take it anymore. I build the courage to stand up, walk towards my dad, and loudly say, "Can we get tampons or pads now? I cannot wait." My dad is red in the face, and someone, I completely forgot her name, audibly gasped and took off her jacket, running towards me to wrap it around my waist and scold my dad. While that's happening, another nice lady, I believe she owned the house, held my hand and brought me upstairs to change into her clothes and let her wash mine. She lets me stay upstairs the rest of the party with a pack of pads and sweet tea. That is absolutely amazing, though. What wholesome people. I do love that vibe, though. I love that vibe that they're actually looking out for people that come and be guests at their place, even when their own parents are being poopy. That is so nice. That brings me a little bit of hope about... Nice, another chopper. It's looking for my memes. That does bring me a bit of hope about humanity, though. Even when their own parents are being poopy, there are still people around them that look out for them and will go out of their way to actually help out. That is so beautiful. A little bit of hope about humanity restored. When the party was over, I went downstairs. When my dad saw me, he finally said, "We can get him now. I am sorry." A week ago, I saw those two ladies again. Turns out my dad thought I was lying, so I didn't have to go to the party. It took being yelled at him for him to realize he messed up bad. And even playing devil's advocate in this case, even if it was like a lie or an excuse to make it inconvenient not to go or whatever argument you want to use, just going past like a convenience store to pick up like a pack of tampons or something like that or pads on the way there takes like 3 minutes. You know, it's such an easy thing to do, and then you can probably talk a bit more about if they really want to go to the party or not either. This seems like such a stupid thing to just assume someone is lying about and then it all ends up blowing up. It's not a great thing to do, Fab. Not a great thing to do. Don't touch my kid's hair. Petty revenge. My 8-year-old daughter has very red hair, leaning more towards auburn. She has never cut it. We call it the long hair don't care club, because mine is pretty long too. Hers, though, it's so long she has to pull it from under her when she sits. Oh my god, it's gonna grow to be like longer than she is. That is amazing. She loves her hair, and so does her father and I. Every redhead knows that in public, people will always try to touch it. Mostly older white ladies. Yeah, I've heard that it's a case. If you have like this sort of hair, or if you have like very curly hair, for example, people will always try to touch it. I am lucky in the way that people don't normally ask to touch my hair. That is like the privilege of having this boring straight hair, I guess. So the story. Older white lady in the grocery store goes to touch her hair. She is used to people trying to touch her and hates it, and very vocally told her, "Don't touch me." Okay, so she actually told the older lady not to do it. I've taught her to be loud about it because it will embarrass and stop most people. But not this lady. I cannot imagine going up to like a child that is a stranger, to fondle their hair, right? And then the kid, who is obviously sick of this sort of behavior because it happens way too often, audibly says, no, don't do this. You know, like, oh, silly child, I'll fondle your hair anyway. Bruh. A few aisles over, we are picking what type of crackers she wants when the old Birch again comes by. My daughter has a sparkly pink baseball cap on her with a ponytail through the loop. This frickin' woman grabbed her ponytail and ran her hand down it and said, "Oh, it feels so nice." Okay, this is absolutely astounding. This is the sort of behavior I'm surprised no one has called the cops on this old lady yet. Jesus Christ, can you imagine if anyone else did this that wasn't like a sweet old lady, although there's nothing sweet about this? The police would be there in like 2 minutes. This is insane. I replied, well, it should, considering it's a wig, and you are complimenting a cancer patient on someone else's hair because she doesn't have any. Birch turned white as a wedding gown. I said, stop touching her, or I will touch you. Cue the clutching of pearls and turning beet red. She starts to apologize and tries to reach to my kid yet again. What? Why again? Oh my god. Doing it to begin with is bad enough. Then the girl says no, you still do it, and then this whole thing happens. You're like, oh my god, I'm so curve punched. Let me just fondle a little bit though, make sure that I fondled enough. Oh my god, I am so flabbergasted that these people have like survived evolution for this long. That astounds me. My daughter told her, if you touch me again, I will bite you. That is a daughter raised right. She left us alone after that, but I got a few stink-eyed looks from her, and the rest of the time we shopped. How on earth is she giving you the stink eye after this? Oh my god, like the entitlement of certain people and like twisting it around to make it seem like someone else is wrong is just astounding. If there was a piece of the Olympics that was mental gymnastics, this lady would easily get the gold. Dear God. We check out, I am loading my cart, and lo and behold, this Birch was handing my kid a Hershey bar. My kids crossed her arms tight and told her she was allergic. Which she isn't, but lol. Oh my god, that's so funny that the kid is so fed up that they've come up with this kind of like rhetoric as well. That is amazing. Which she isn't, but lol. So I guess all that hammering of never take an offer from a stranger with candy stuck. Frick that lady. Why does she keep doubling down? Like after the first time when you come up and start acting weird, you're like, oh my bad, I didn't mean any harm, apologies, and then you leave them alone. Like now you've come back to this kid like 5 times after they told you like to leave them alone, don't touch them. You get the story about like the cancer and the wig, you get the whole kind of thing about leaving alone or I'll bite you, and then like allergic to the bar you try to bribe them with to make things better or something like that. Like you approached them like 5 times now. 5 times. Oh my god. Girl doesn't believe my dad died, so I prove it. I saw the click looking at the subreddit and decided to post it here. Oh my god, who could that be? I have no idea. So I am at sophomore in high school and I play the basketball team. My cousin is also on the team. I live with my cousin and his parents because my father died last year, and I have never met my mom. Only our close friends know. After the last game of the season, every year my school has a party thing for the players, cheerleaders, and their parents. While at the party, my aunt and uncle wanted to take a lot of pictures. It's kind of their favorite thing. So we took a ton of pictures together. Probably lasted them about 10 minutes. But they both had somewhere else to be, so they left. Once I was alone, my cousin's girlfriend, a cheerleader, approached me very angrily. I have never gotten along with her, but we've been civil since she's dating my cousin. Why can't you take pictures with your own parents, blowjob? Is that an insult that, like, kiddos use? Okay. I didn't get to take any with Cian and his parents because you were there the whole time. I was kind of shocked just because what the frick are you talking about? Me? Well, my dad is dead, so kind of difficult. She looked shocked for a second before doubling down. No, don't, oh my god. Oh, don't double down, no! No, he is not. I have met him. 2 years ago,